Thanksgiving 2020. Or is it? We have an event called Thanksgiving coming up. But will it be for us? Count those many blessings, name them one by one. Will we? Can we? Should we? Of course. We're going to be looking at a very short psalm today, Psalm 131. It is probably one of the shortest psalms, one of them. 3 verses. And I think give us some thoughts and principles about what Thanksgiving might be able to mean to us. But it's probably, though short, it takes the longest to learn. In fact, I'm still learning it. Talking about living it out, fleshing it out, applying it in my life. But as we look at back at March 2020, when all this kind of began, I thought, well, there'll be some economic effects, but and probably long term, but I thought, April, May, this social distancing thing will be over with. Well, boy, was I wrong. You know, in the short term crisis, there's a lot of camaraderie, and we pulled together. A lot of times in the long term, though, dissent, differences, even disagreements sometimes come along. And people say, this is the new normal. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know, I keep saying we're not going to probably go back to the way things once were. I get that. But at the same time, I'm probably like a 5-year-old in the back of the car going, where are we going? How long till we get there? I don't like this. We're all kind of like 5-year-olds at times, aren't we? If we're real honest in many, many situations. But Thanksgiving 2020. Dealing with discontent. A lot of times discontent can be something like putting a pot on the back burner that is slow to boil. And it begins to come out, and you see the steam, and it begins to boil. And a lot of times our lives are like that. It's just kind of a slow build, a slow boil, and we wonder, we question, we have tears, and we walk through these days. You know, 1 Thessalonians 5:8, and I think or 18, in everything give thanks for what? In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. Have you ever noticed? That isn't, I get to choose that verse or not, or to obey. It says, to give thanks, this is the will of God. You ever wonder, what is the will of God? Well, there's one verse right there, to be a thankful person. But Psalm 131 was a pilgrim song. It's one of those song of ascents, and I think we've looked at one of those recently, 120 through about Psalm 120 through about 135. They're like choruses to us today, and they were sung as the Hebrews, the Israelites, would travel back to Jerusalem for different festivals. And for them, these were choruses that they would sing over and over, just like we do in our life. But 3 verses, each shows us a quality, I think, to consider for Thanksgiving. Look at chapter 1, verses, I'm just going to read the whole thing to you because it's short. 131. O Lord, my heart is not proud, nor my eyes haughty, nor do I involve myself in great matters or in things too difficult for me. For I have composed and quieted my soul, like a weaned child rests against its mother. My soul is like a weaned child within me. O Israel, hope in the Lord from this time forth and forevermore. Wow. How does he begin right there? I love it. O Lord. Any of you said that recently? Oh, Lord. And you mean it not out of so much exasperation, but a little bit of that, but also, oh, Lord, where are you? Why do these things seem to be happening? It's not supposed to. You know, when you're 16, 17, 18, you kind of have your life, well, maybe not planned out, but, you know, it's a little bit, ultimately, I think, a little more short-sighted. And we discover as we get older, looking back, what we didn't know, but also as you're older, you realize I still don't know a lot when it comes to life and the situations we find ourselves in. But he says, my heart is not proud, my eyes are not haughty. And he begins, O Lord, his God, my God. And I think that's a great beginning point for us in our own prayer life, isn't it? Now, he's not being proud right here. And the first thought right here that I'd give you is that practice humility. You want a thankful Thanksgiving? Practice humility, as we see. And he's saying right here, I think it's something to take off. And we find ourselves in restless seasons, and we are in one certainly right now. Worry says, I look around and examine things, and there's just all bad outcomes. Panic says, things are out of control, and I have no control. Elections say, well, if that school board, if that mayor, if that president would only... Assumptions say, I have 6 months of paper towels and toilet paper. I am set, right? Okay, now we're seeing, I guess, there are shortages again when life gets hard. And that's really what it's talking about right here. Don't be prideful. And this restless anxiety, I think, folks, is rooted in pride. And three areas. Your heart. Number one, it's in your heart. And that's really the beginning point. My heart is not proud or prideful. It is not high. It's the idea of being high. Now that is really ultimately the bottom line, but it's also the point we're looking at. Proverbs 16:5, the Lord detests a what? A proud heart. Pride. And in your heart, it's the idea of high trees, or it's also the idea of the height of God, but not in a proud way. 18:12, before downfall, the heart is proud. What is that old saying? Pride comes before a what? A fall. It can come as individuals, it comes as a family, it comes as a nation. But the beginning point is in our heart. The phrase, get off your high what? Horse? That's really where this idea germinates from right here. Get off your high horse. What happens to athletic teams a lot of times after they've had some big victories and they've got a winning streak? Somewhat seems to be a lowly team come along and knocks them off. You hope it's not in the playoffs, by the way, and earlier in the season when you can kind of regroup and figure out things on that. But it begins in your heart. Also, it's in your attitude. It says, eyes not raised. Those haughty eyes, those eyebrows, I think we understand that. I hope you're not snobby. I hope we're not a snobby church, but I've been around what I consider snobby, and it's probably my own inadequacies feeling like that. But you know, the truth is, probably we've been snobs to others, and people have been snobs to us, right? We raise those eyebrows. We think we're better. Now, why are they like that? Why do they dress like that? Why don't they have the same values as me? And we just think a little bit that we've got it together and they do not. But it's in your attitude right here. It's really about, to me, a servant spirit. And I appreciate all of you from Operation Christmas Child to the backpacks week in and week out to serving this Thursday. And baking before then, even if you can't go on Thursday. One of the questions I used to ask folks interviewing for a leadership position, I would ask them, do you do toilets? Do you do toilets? And they would look at me like, what are you talking about? And I say, think about it. Do you do toilets? Are you willing to do the lowly work that no one sees, that no one gets credit for, but makes things percolate, makes things run? I hope we are a toilet people. Okay, now don't misquote me when you go out of here on that one, folks. But that we have the kind of heartbeat that we're not proud in heart, but we have a pride in what God is doing. Our eyes are not raised because we think we're any better than anyone else. Proverbs 30:13, haughty eyes, glances that are disdainful. Romans 12:16, be of the same mind toward one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. He's just saying, lift others up. Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2, I didn't put on your outline. I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? Any of you lifted your eyes to the hills recently? The idea is that's where the Lord is, high and lifted up. We're going to sing a song as we conclude in a few minutes. It is well with my soul. And I guess I'll go ahead and just ask you the question. When you sing that, do you mean it? It's one of the most it's one of my funeral songs, I think. You got it there? Okay. But it is a powerful song. And the story behind it, Horatio Spafford, you've heard this story many, many times, but he was a businessman in America, sent his wife and I want to say 3 daughters. Do you know your history? Is that pretty close? Okay. And their ship went down, very early part of the 1900s, I believe. And their ship went down, losing everyone. And as Horatio Spafford, the father, was traveling to that area and across the ocean to Europe, he asked the captain to show him, where did the ship go down where I lost my family? And it was out of going over that point that he wrote the song that we will sing in a few minutes. But what faith! What a way to honor the Lord. It is well with my soul. Not always, but that is the goal and the heartbeat that I hope that we have as a church. Not only in your heart, your attitude, but also your understanding. Now, what are we talking about right here? Nor do I involve myself in great matters or in things too difficult for me. Let me paraphrase it. Don't be a know-it-all. You don't know everything. There are mysteries, there are perspectives that we just do not quite get. But he's saying, I think in your understanding, you don't feel like you need to have it all together. One of my favorite books I've mentioned before, and it's based upon a church out of Austin, Texas, and how they grew as No Perfect People Allowed. I love that. We don't want people in the church that have it all together, because that means in your heart, your eyes, you might feel like you know it all. Job 4:23 was, I'm not going to look it up, but that was Job's confession. I do not know it all. Lord, my knowledge is very, very limited. And this is what David is understanding as he looks at this. What's interesting, he begins with the heart, then he goes to the eyes, then really this verse right here is about the feet. Now you're going, Mike, where does that come from? It says, some of your Bibles say, nor do I concern myself. Some of your Bibles say that. Nor do I concern myself, nor do I involve. That idea right there is simply the idea of walking. I do not concern myself. I am on a walk right here as I involve myself. Or humility. Who died and made you God? Who died and made you king? Who died and made you? You know, you have that attitude towards some people at times, especially maybe siblings. I think my brother and sister, 8 and 9 years younger than me, had that attitude. Well, who are you? You know, especially that time I put the ladder up on the roof and had him go up and pulled the ladder away and left for a couple hours. But anyway, they didn't appreciate that when they were young. But in our understanding, we do not have to have it all together. And I hope you never feel like you do. You don't always have to be strong when others are suffering, when you're going through tragedy. There are things we're not meant to probably understand in our life. So heart, our attitude, our understanding, which is really the idea, our walk. Not only humility, but learn contentment. Number 2. Learn contentment, integrity, simplicity. This is really the result of humility right here. Surely I have composed and quieted my soul like a weaned child rests against its mother. My soul is like a weaned child within me. What an illustration that he gives right here. But first of all, he says, be still. Any of you were you fidgety children? Or as parents, do you have fidgety children? I probably spent, I'm doing a lot of true confessions today. Most of my first grade year was probably spent standing in the corner because I was always, I'm glad they did, they hadn't diagnosed ADD back then, but I think I was. Okay, I think probably a lot of little boys are, but that's just, to me, that's just being a little boy. So it's okay over there. Anybody with little boys, it's okay, Carrie. It's good. It's normal right there, okay? But he's saying, be still. Silence before the Lord. Psalm 46:10, be still and what? Know that I am God. Are you uncomfortable with quiet? Are you uncomfortable with silence? In our society, we tend to be. We always have the radio, or we have some kind of noise, or a song playing, our phone is running, our computer or our iPad, whatever, we have something going. We are uncomfortable with silence. And he's saying, be quiet, be quiet. Mark 1:35, what is that about? Jesus. A great while before morning, Jesus went out into a lonely or solitary place and there prayed. Do some of you have a high need for alone time? There's probably some of you. There's some of you, though, that I just need a little, like me, I just need a little alone time. Then it kind of rejuvenates me. But when I need my alone time, get out of my way. I'm not a nice person. I'm probably going to be rude. Just clear out. But he's just saying right here, be still. That is a quality that I think will take us into Thanksgiving and the holidays. Find some time to be still. Not only be still, be saying, quiet your soul. Quiet your soul. Kind of the same idea, but be still, quiet your soul. Have you ever noticed that the word listen and the word silent have the same letters? Now think on that. The word listen and silent, I think, have the same letters. But so often in our life, we take silent and we and listen. And I think as we hear this right here, it really speaks to us in our life that he's just saying, quiet our soul. My soul waits in silence. Not only that, but then there's the illustration, rest. The mother-child instinct. The child, the baby, rooting, wanting to be fed, hungry. And, for centuries, what we've had is a new mother knows that cry of hunger. Now, the baby, I want my breakfast, I want my lunch, I want my supper, I want it now. Okay, they do not know. Now, I realize when they get to be about 13 to 18, it doesn't seem to have changed. But as a mom, you can say, go fix it yourself. It's in the fridge. When they open the door, there's nothing to eat here. Okay, so some things never change, but they do. Okay? What an illustration. He's just saying, as a weaned child, and that's not easy in those early moments and early days of being a mom and parenting. But it comes, and you do your child a disservice if you would never do that. But he's saying, David is saying that I can rest. Moms are moms are moms. Dads don't always get this illustration right here, but I think you moms really, really do. But as a child is weaned and they can lean up against their mother, there's something special about that peaceful bond right here. But he's saying, like Isaiah 57:21, when it says no peace for the wicked, and we look at a passage like this, Matthew 18:30, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you are converted and become like children. I love that right there. Be childlike, not immature, but rest in the arms and next to the Lord. Then last right here, he's saying, live in hope, verse 3. So you've got humility, you've got contentment, now hope. Put on hope. And how does that verse 3 begin? O Lord. He begins saying, O Lord, about himself, but then he says, O Lord, and he speaks as the nation of Israel as their leader. And the idea of hope is to wait expectantly. We hope things will end. We hope the pain will cease. We hope the disease will go away. Sometimes it's just time, and you've heard me say this, and most of you have experienced it at some point in your life. You may not get over things, but you will get through things. And as we lock arms together as a church, as you have locked arms as a family and with friends, we get through these things of life that fall before us, that we can't explain, we can't understand. God's saying, don't be too prideful. Discover contentment. And he's just saying, put your hope in me, is the first idea in verse 3. Psalm 137 says, Israel, wait and watch for God. With God's arrival comes love. With God's arrival comes redemption. Wait. And we are not a waiting people, are we? We're Americans. We don't like lines. We don't like and don't understand, in our culture at least, why the shelves might be empty. But it's something that God perhaps is allowing us to go through to gain a greater confidence in Him and trust in Him. Put your hope in me. Where's your hope today? Well, I sure hope we win that game. Hope practice isn't too hard. Hope the business comes in. I hope that family member of mine recovers. You know, we can live without a lot of things in life. Water a few days, food a few days, but I don't think we can live a day without hope in what the future will bring and what God has in store for us. Not only put your hope in me, but He says both now and long term, forevermore. Psalm 121, 7 and 8. God guards you from evil. He guards your very life. He guards you when you leave or return. He guards you now. He guards you always. 125:2 talks about, as the mountains circle Jerusalem, God circles you. I don't always feel the Lord, to be honest. Some of that's on me. Some of it is perhaps God teaching me some things. Sometimes in the dark night of my soul, God has been very silent. And I get a little ticked off. I get upset. But time and circumstances, I think, for me at least, God brings me back. But my timeline, your timeline and life experience, it's not always going to look the same. But He is there. He is present in our life. I want to read a letter that I came across that I thought was interesting. Maybe some of you can identify with it. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Dear Jesus, I've written a lot of thank yous lately, but this is the first one to you. Until now, I didn't appreciate your gifts to me these past several months. Thank you for taking Don home to be with you. Now I'll never be concerned with what the future holds for him. His days are guaranteed. Thank you for giving him such a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for making his birthday last Sunday his best ever. Thank you for putting me in the hospital 3 weeks after he died and showing me the way you could use his death in my life. I wasn't always sure how to approach others with the gospel, but now you have given me so many openings I can hardly handle them all. Thank you for the most recent surgery and for the lessons it taught me, especially for showing me how much I needed you. Thanks for letting me see what it's like to face surgery and suffering without you as I watch the difference in the lives of my roommates. Thank you for the lessons Becky and Lori, her daughters, have learned from this. I could never have taught them the way that you did. That's because of the great teacher you are. I can't wait to see what you give them on their heavenly report cards. You know, Jesus, I wouldn't have planned my life this way. In fact, I would have planned it just the opposite. I've sought to avoid death's knock. I would have ducked out on the surgeries and tried to pretend that Christians were kept well by you all the time. But I would have missed out on so much. The kids are sorry they couldn't be with their daddy on Father's Day. But we were glad he could be with his earthly and heavenly Father this year. Oh, I could go on with this letter, but I could never cover everything I have to thank you for. So I'll send you more. But for now, please accept this as a beginning. Gratefully yours, Lois. You know, when you read something like this, you can conclude two things. Either she's lost her mind or she has great faith in the Lord. At the end of your message notes right there, I put some thoughts and questions. Be thankful for the things you no longer have. The questions, what are the things you have been weaned from in 2020? Anything you've been weaned from in 2020 that you really don't need? Families needed, encouragement, locking arms, lifting up each other. Those are needed. But there are probably some things you've been weaned from, and I've been weaned from. Then list things that you couldn't live with before, but now you can. Thought I really needed it back in February. Don't need it now. There are more important things in life. Then I wrote, be thankful for the things we have, but also the things and people we no longer have. Let's pray. Father, in 4 days, we will have an event called Thanksgiving Day. Father, Tyus, your children, we are meant to be the most thankful people in the world. May our days be filled with and marked with humility, contentment, and hope. May we experience humility and be intentional about it. May we learn contentment, and may we live in the world of hope in you. May we be thankful for the things we have, but also the things we no longer have. And let the people of God hope in the Lord both now and forever. Amen.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well.